Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening in to our Swoon-Worthy podcast. I'm Carly, and I'm here with my co-host and sister, Cayla. Today, we are covering our first ever movie musical on the show, Moulin Rouge. And another first, we are having our first ever guest host with us. We've asked our friend Stephanie, who shares our passion for period films and movies in general. She's quite knowledgeable in movie trivia, behind the scenes, on screen, and otherwise. Hey, Stephanie.
Hi, thank you for having me.
We are so happy to have you. It's just going to bring a whole new element to our podcast episode.
So, Stephanie, for our audience, tell us more about you and Carly, how y'all met, your history, and how you became to be, you love pop culture, I know, and movies. And so just tell me a bit more about your background.
Sure. Well, I think Carly and I met sophomore year of high school. We were on a dance team together in high school and we just became friends very quickly, I think. Um, yeah, we've been friends for many, many years. One thing we really connected on was our love of movies. And I mean, who doesn't love movies? But I think we really, really love movies, and we both got to a point, I think probably in our college years, where we started paying attention to like who directed the movie, who wrote it, who did the costumes, who did, everything. I know that was the case for me, and I feel like it's the same for Carly. But yeah, I love movies so much. I've gotten to be in a couple of movies. I always want movies
Wait,
to be a big part of my life.
tell me the ones you ran again.
I was in Jurassic World, and I was in this movie about Motley Crue called The Dirt. It was a Netflix original.
Oh, it's so cool. Like, what did you do in those? Like, tell me about it.
So in Jurassic World, I played a Jurassic World employee in the visitor center. I was the receptionist of the visitor center. And then I was also an airport traveler, and I was also a medic at the end of the movie.
Oh my God, so cool.
They reused a lot of people.
And you saw Chris Pratt, right? Didn't he wink at you?
Yeah, Chris Pratt did wink at me. I I was with everybody. I mean, it was so cool to see how they work and how they dealt with being on set with 300 extras. And, Bryce Dallas Howard was so nice, and I remember thinking to myself that she seems like a director, just
Mm.
the way that she would talk and work with the director. And here she is now, a very successful director of some of our favorite shows, including The Mandalorian. I've got little Grogu behind
My
me, but
favorite episode too, the first one she did, like I loved that one.
yeah, she just brings, like, such heart to everything she does, I feel like. But, yeah, and then in the Motley Crue movie, I was just an audience member in the '80s. But there's some really great, period actors in that movie, actually, which is so funny, like Douglas Booth and, Ewan Rayon. I don't know how to properly say his name. He's Welsh, but, um, that was really cool.
That's
That's
so
so
cool.
awesome.
I didn't know about you seeing Douglas Booth. That's cool.
Yeah, he's like the ultimate period actor, I feel like. Also worth mentioning that I have a doppelganger, Melanie Linsky.
Oh yeah, you guys, if
Something.
you want to know what Stephanie looks like, just look at the actress Melanie Linsky from Ever After, and you'll know what Stephanie looks like.
So let's get started. We thought Moulin Rouge would be a fun episode for you to co host with us since you do love musicals. And Stephanie, you and I, we even went to the Museum of Broadway last year in New York City
We
together.
did. Yes, it was so fun.
Highly recommend if you love musicals. And I think we were kind of silly when we went through the museum.
Yes, well, it's very interactive, so I think it invites silliness for sure. But
Agreed.
yeah, if you love musicals, it is a dream.
Well said. Yeah. Now, before we start analyzing the scenes and actors and really diving into the film, I wanted to ask both of you what was your earliest memory of watching this movie, which came out in 2001? Maybe we'll start with you, Stephanie.
I don't remember if I saw it in theaters, and I even asked my sister last night if she remembers if we saw it in theaters,
Mhm.
and I don't think we did. We would have been like, or I would have been 12 or 13 at the time,
Yeah.
and I just don't think I went to the theaters that often then, but I do remember watching it with my sister, and I remember we loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, we were in middle school. So, Kayla, you were even younger. And I remember renting this from Blockbuster my first time. Is that what you think, Stephanie? Probably.
Yeah, I think so. I've been thinking about Blockbuster a lot lately, and I think it's because I've been thinking about this. So, yeah,
Mhm.
I definitely think we rented it from Blockbuster as well.
Yeah. And I just want to give a little shout out to my friends Ashley and Jalen because I'm pretty sure the first time I saw it was with them. We were having a little slumber party at my house and we were quite obsessed with the music video of Lady Marmalade. you
Yes.
know, yeah, the one with Christina
Oh, I love
Aguilera, Pink, Maya, Little Kim strutting around in corsets and fishnet tights, which is so appropriate for, a 12 or 13-year-old. But yeah.
I think so.
Love it. Okay. So, Kayla, what about you?
Yeah, pretty similar to that. I was in fourth grade, I think, when it came out. But I don't remember if I watched it right when it came out, but I was probably still a little too young before when I first watched it. But yeah, you showed me it, and of course I loved it. And I
Yeah.
remember just being like blown away by it because it was, I've never seen anything like that before. And then, it was the early 2000s and throughout high school, like everyone would sing that song, I remember driving with my friends in the summer with the windows down singing what's it?
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi?
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi?
Yes, exactly. And then, Steph, do you remember? I think high school pep rallies would incorporate the music from this movie.
Yes. So you and I were on our high school dance team together. And I remember the music being used for like so many different things, so many like choreography projects, and it stayed with us for many years. It
Yeah,
still is very popular.
I agree. I agree. But I do want to say one other thing. I post this one on my period drama style Instagram account all the time. And like, I love this movie. I've probably seen this more like this and Marie Antoinette are probably my most watched movies. And I just love it. And I kind of believed in my head that everyone else felt the same way about this movie. And so I posted it and I usually get so many likes and comments positively. And then this last time, a few people were commenting how it was cringe. Yes. And I was
What?
like, are you kidding me? I don't understand. Cannot compute like how this is the best movie.
Harley can't compute.
So, Stephanie, have you encountered anyone who didn't like this movie like that?
No, I haven't. That is very much news to me. I wonder what age group these people were in.
Right.
But yeah, it's only ever described as iconic. I
Yeah.
mean, it
Yeah.
inspired a Broadway musical. It's lived on, all these years. Like it's never gone away. So
Hmm.
I don't I didn't know people thought it was cringe.
I know. And it was
It's
more than one person. It's more than one person. So I was like, what is going on?
Well,
weird.
we all have our opinions.
It's true. It's true. All right. So yeah, exactly what you said. It's lived on. So the movie directed by Baz Luhrmann, an Australian director. The movie was nominated for 8 Oscars, including Best Actress for Nicole Kidman. It won 2. So Best Costumes and Best Art and Set Direction. And Baz Luhrmann's wife and collaborator, Catherine Martin, was the co-recipient of both of those Oscars. So this Australian movie making duo, just love them and all that they've done in the years since. So
Yes. They know
yeah.
how to bring decadence to the screen.
Mm, great word. And before this, they were most known for 1996 Romeo and Juliet, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes. And together, along with this film and his very first film, Strictly Ballroom, they make up the Red Curtain trilogy. Now, this is not your traditional trilogy, but it's connected by similar style, aesthetic, thematic elements, and they use the same l'amour sign in Moulin Rouge and Romeo and Juliet. And then in Strictly Ballroom, it's the same kind of font and look, but it says Coca Cola because they're dancing on the roof. It's a billboard. Anyways, okay. So, is there anything else you wanted to say before we get started with like the scenes?
I feel like I remember it being pretty revolutionary for being a
Mm.
musical and being nominated for Best Picture because a musical had not been nominated for Best Picture for a long, long time, right? So I feel like I have memories of that, of it just being
Ooh.
like this really unique movie and people saying, "But it's a musical," you know? I could be a little bit wrong there, but I think I remember that correctly.
I bet you're right. Cause I mean, you and I love all the old musicals too, like old, but they're older, like you said. That's a good point. But then after this, I know Chicago came after this. So maybe it
Yeah.
kind of,
I really do think that musicals had kind of a reawakening after this because
ooh.
musicals are huge now, and they
Mhm.
have been for several years, like with High School Musical and all the way through, like La La Land and things like that, but yeah, I really think this was kind of like the start of that.
Ooh, I
I'm
love
not sure if
that.
that's correct, but I feel like that is the case.
I think you're right. And Kayla, you and I love Chicago too. We might have to cover that one.
Yeah, I feel like I remember seeing Chicago. When did that come out? A year after?
I think so. I think it was 2002. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I feel like I watched those similar. It's close enough times, and I was like, okay, this is cool.
Now, the movie starts out with a music conductor and the opening of the red curtains. And it's on, the first scene is a very gray and dismal Paris that we're seeing. And it shoots into Montmartre, the artist district, in the year of 1900. And we see Toulouse singing Bowie's Nature Boy. And Toulouse-Lautrec, the famous artist who painted so many paintings and did some really cool prints and poster work of the Moulin Rouge and Montmartre, played by John Leguizamo. And Stephanie, I'm glad you're here too, because Kayla and I often have to think about how we were pronouncing names, and I know we mispronounce actor names all the time, but you probably know how to pronounce every actor correctly. So did I say
Well,
John Leguizamo correctly?
it's John Leguizamo.
See, I told you. I knew
That's
it.
how
I
I've
knew
always heard it. I mean, only he can truly tell us, but
it.
I think it's John Leguizamo.
Leguizamo. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And John Leguizamo was also in Romeo and Juliet. So some continuity there.
Incredible actor. He does not get enough credit for how great he is and everything.
Agreed. Agreed. And we see Ewan McGregor, our young star.
Oh.
Kayla, what do you think about Ewan McGregor?
I mean, he's beautiful, and his voice is so beautiful. I wanted to ask y'all, like, is he really singing in this movie?
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, he's very talented. Wow, I love his voice. It's very unique.
It is. I was going to say this later, but I'll say it now. A couple times I heard his Scottish accent come through when I watched this movie the last time, but it's just adorable. And he is at the typewriter. He already tells you up front the woman he loves is dead. And he's just suffering, you can tell. But then they go back a year, 1899, and everything's brighter on the screen. We're seeing a nice, more vibrant picture of Montmartre and Moulin Rouge, the dance hall with the red windmill. So this is the Bohemian Revolution, and the mantra there: truth, beauty, freedom, and love. Very cool. And this really is a time period in France at the turn of the century. Um, Artists were revered for their, unique styles and impressionism and all kinds of things. And the Moulin Rouge was a central attraction for people to go and paint the dancers and the prostitutes. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And somehow Ewan McGregor, Christian, his character named Christian, gets thrown into the mix. He meets up with a bunch of people. It's very fast paced in this moment. Things are happening really quickly, but it's just exciting. And he's all of a sudden helping make a musical, a play. And you first hear him sing, "The hills are alive with the sound of music," which is just
Yeah, when he
Yeah.
starts singing, it's like, whoa, like it's beautiful.
Yes. He can really belt.
Yeah.
yeah, and everyone's just in awe. And so he becomes the writer of the play that they're going to produce. And the next big hurdle is to get the approval of Ziedler and Satine, the star of the show. So they start drinking absinthe. They're visited by the Green Fairy, Kylie Minogue.
Yes, Kylie. I love her so much.
She's so cute. And I love how Baz Luhrmann likes to incorporate Australian musicians in all of his work.
It's
Yeah,
very cool.
it's so cool. And actors. Um, so there they go. They're at the Moulin Rouge, and it's yeah.
Has Ewan McGregor like sung in another film before? I can't think of anything.
Well, he sang a bit in Emma 1996 with Gwyneth Paltrow as Frank Churchill at the piano forte. But what about you, Steph? Do you know others?
Before this, I don't think so, because he was kind of like rough around the edges, I think, in a lot of his films. And then Star Wars came. But then after Moulin Rouge, he did Down with Love.
Mm.
Or maybe that was before. No, it was after.
2003, I think. Oh my gosh, Down with Love.
So this is his main singing film. Yeah.
Yes. Main singing film. That's a good way of saying it. All right. Yeah. And then it's still very fast paced, and we get the can dancers, the diamond dogs, as they're called by Ziedler, and the can. Yeah, it's the can. I mean, it's just this amazing dance experience that took over in Paris at that time.
Do they still do that in the Moulin Rouge?
Yeah, it's a still nightclub.
I saw that the Moulin Rouge got damaged recently.
I did see that too. Like a windmill fell off, like a
Yeah.
part of the windmill.
That's sad.
But I don't think it's well, yeah, I've been there. It's not the
Original.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Then never mind. It's one that's sad.
Fair enough. So yeah, the Diamond Dogs, and it's like these four main singers, I want to say, dancers that are kind of in the spotlight at first, and that kind of mirrors with the music video. You know, I'm talking about something.
Yeah.
And feel free if you think of anything, jump in. You could. Yeah. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, and I wanted to say that. So we have Caroline O'Connor as Nini, and her full name is like Nini Legs in the Air, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And then we have Natalie Mendoza is one of the dancers there. And she was actually the one that I saw on Broadway as a teen.
Really?
Hmm?
I didn't know that. That's so cool.
Isn't that cool? So she was in this movie. I think she even was considered by Boz to be Satine.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so
But
cool.
I know. And then she didn't, I think they wanted to go with a little more star power, which is fair at this time. But yeah, she got to be Satine on Broadway.
That's so cool. And she must have been older, right? I mean, that was 20 years ago.
Yeah. I feel like on Broadway, some of the actors are quite, older, and they're just so beautiful and more
Yeah.
experienced, I think, have probably more confidence and stage presence, maybe.
Yeah. I was going to ask really quickly on Broadway, you saw Aaron Tveit as Christian, right?
I did.
I mean,
The
that also has given Moulin Rouge like this reawakening, just like his like snip of singing
Mhm.
one song in particular.
Yes. No, I would say perfect choice to play Christian on Broadway, because sometimes Kayla and I talk about it's hard to think of anyone else in these roles. And Ewan McGregor is Christian, he is Christian. But then, yeah, Aaron did a great job as Christian on Broadway and won the Tony for Best Actor.
Mm-hmm. So cool.
So cool.
But yeah, the beginning of the film, what you're describing, it's just such a whirlwind. And I think it's just like so signature Baz Luhrmann. His movies are just so fast paced and you just don't know where it's going. But at the same time, you just know exactly where you are. I think it's the coolest thing.
I love that description. Yeah. I think he's my favorite director. He and Sophia just
Mhm.
so unique. And
See, I love Moulin Rouge. I think that style fits perfectly, but you know my opinion about Elvis. Like I feel like
yeah,
it was just like, what's going on? Like I couldn't
no,
follow.
you and I will always disagree. If listeners, if you want to listen to our Priscilla episode, Sophia Coppola's Priscilla, we do talk about the Sophia movie versus the Baz Luhrmann movie a little bit. I'm a
But
fan
yeah,
of the Elvis
I think
movie.
Moulin Rouge, it flowed really well. And I love how this movie was made close to the turn of the century. I just think it's cool that it was made like 100 years to when it's set. It gives it a cool vibe. And I think with Baz Luhrmann's style, that millennium kind of comes through, you know?
You're right, Kayla. Yeah. Okay. And so Jim Broadbent plays Harold Diedler, and such a great role for him.
Yeah, I really thought he won the Oscar for this. I don't know why I remembered that in my mind, but he didn't. But
Should have.
he was incredible. Just from like the very first introduction. He's
Yeah.
just like larger than life, I guess you could say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's the guy that was in Bridget Jones, right?
The father.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and he's in Narnia and he's in so
Harry
many other
Potter.
things.
The
Yeah.
Narnia.
Kayla, he's the what is he in that? He's the guy that owns the home with the wardrobe.
Wow.
Oh.
Sorry, I guess I just think of him as that, but
I remember him in Harry Potter.
yeah. And other things before this too. I mean, I think people would
Very
consider,
prolific actor, yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
We just, growing up when we're younger, like these are the movies we associate with him. Harry Potter, Narnia, and Bridget Jones' Diary. All right. Okay. And then, well, first, also, we have to talk about the way they seamlessly incorporate old songs into this. So we already did mention Bowie, Nature Boy, but then we have Nirvana here. It's
Mhm.
pretty crazy. Here we are now, entertainers.
Yes, it's so good. I love that tiny little sequence with the, Smells Like Teen Spirit. It's so
Mhm.
good. And the
Yes.
choreography, I'm sure you were gonna get to this, but the choreography is so good in this movie. And the choreographer, I looked him up. His name is John O'Connell, but he's credited as John Cha-Cha O'Connell for some of his movies, which I love. But
That
he's
is
worked
cute.
with Baz Luhrmann on, I think, almost all of his films.
Ooh, so
But
cool.
it's just the choreography is so good.
That's so cool. Yeah, yeah. And then we see Satine, the sparkling diamond, dropping from the sky. Everything goes quiet, hushed, and you see glitter falling down. She's just there with her top hat. And Nicole Kidman, I mean, you said larger than life with Ziedler, but also with Nicole Kidman as Satine, she's just she transforms into this performer, and I feel like I almost forget she's Nicole Kidman in this. She's just
Mhm.
Satine in this.
Yes. Yeah, it's so good. She really does become Satine. I agree.
Kayla, do
Yeah,
you want
I think this is her best role, honestly. Sorry.
to?
I feel like
Kayla.
most of her movies, it's like that's Nicole Kidman. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because just in our Elizabeth episode, you were mentioning how she's chosen for a lot of biopics.
Yeah.
And
Like I Love Lucy, and then what was it, Princess Diana or something like that. Like it was just like, okay, she doesn't look like everybody.
well, but you agree, Kayla, that no, but she's so good. She plays Virginia Woolf. She won the Oscar for playing Virginia Woolf. So she does play a lot of real life people.
I've not seen that.
Okay. But okay, so your favorite Nicole Kidman is Moulin Rouge,
Oh, she
I'm
was
guessing.
good in that movie, that thriller with Billy Zane.
Yes, Kayla. That is a fun one. And then she does go on to work with Baz Luhrmann in Australia, which is a fun one.
Mhm.
And just one other little random thing, she's in a Chanel No. 5 music video campaign that's directed by Baz Luhrmann, and it's really good
Oh,
if you haven't seen it.
I want to see that.
All right. So Satine, I feel like her two showgirl outfits that she wears are just they're the perfect showgirl outfits. The silver diamonds with the black top hat, the black gloves, the fishnet hose. And then at a certain point she changes, does a little wardrobe change, costume change into a pale pink one with some feathers. It's very can. And as we mentioned earlier, costume design by Catherine Martin and Angus Strathy, Oscar winning costume design, I should say. And we see everyone's reaction to her. I mean, they're just in awe of her. She's the most beautiful thing they've all seen. And we have the mistaken identity scene going on here, which is fun with Toulouse waving his handkerchief at the Duke and then at Christian. And so there's just this mix up. And I feel like that's a standard rom com or sitcom trope, but it's also taken from one of the source materials for Moulin Rouge, which is a book, La Dame aux Camélias by Alexandre Dumas fils. And that went on to become a movie starring Greta Garbo.
Ooh.
Camille. And I highly recommend, if you like Moulin Rouge and you like old movies, to go see the movie Camille from 1936. And she plays a courtesan, and it's kind of the same storyline.
Very cool.
Yeah. Stephanie, did you hear that did Nicole Kidman break her rib dancing in a corset in this one?
I didn't hear that she broke it. That may be correct, but I remember her saying in the like the behind the scenes on the DVD that she bruised her thighs from kicking in the corset, and that maybe she had some bruised ribs.
Yeah. Okay.
They're
Yeah,
really tight in this. I like her waist is like tiny. Oh my gosh.
Mm.
Speaking of that whole, confusion, and then how she's getting ready to go be in the with the Duke, and she's they're strapping her in the corset, and he's like, okay, remember, you're gonna have to go in there, and he'll make you an actress or something. And she's like, oh my gosh. And so she's getting all dressed and ready to see the Duke, and then the next scene, taking everything off, and
I know.
I'm just like, what happened there? Like, that was the only thing I noticed, and I was like, what?
No, I've always noticed that too. It's like, but I guess to get from one place to the elephant, she needed to wear the red dress, and then she derobes for the. I don't
It's so chaotic.
Yeah. I wonder if that was just like the one slip up they had or something. I don't know.
I feel like
It
maybe
seemed like
just
she was getting it dressed intentionally or something, and then all of a sudden she's like,
in her black negligee. I know, which is beautiful, by the way. I love her black like lingerie outfit as well.
Mhm.
And her hair's down and it had been up. I mean, half up. Yeah, I know. I know.
Yes. Her hair is iconic. I know I say iconic a lot, but it's just
Louis.
true. It applies.
It
But
applies.
I was looking up information about her hair last night, and I found a Vulture article that ranked all of Nicole Kidman's wigs.
Okay. Okay.
And Moulin Rouge was number 2,
Oh, what was number
surprisingly.
one?
It was a movie called Birth, which I've never seen.
No, never.
But I think she wears, like, a shorter wig in that one,
Mm.
but this wig is so good. All of the wigs in this movie are so good.
Yeah, I didn't even realize they were wigs. Like,
I know I don't like to think, I like never think of them as wigs
that
either. Like to me, and people on my Instagram are always mentioning like how good cost period drama wigs are. And I'm like, "Oh, I don't even want to think of it as a wig. It's a hair. It's hair. It's her hair.
Wigs have really gone down in quality in movies. Like,
Okay.
they've gotten really bad, but in this movie, like, they're just great. They're
Yeah.
zany and then also very classically beautiful. There's
Mhm.
just yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this, Kayla, because remember in Titanic, our Titanic podcast episode, we were talking about how in the movie poster for Kate Winslet, it's the half up, like half of her hair is up and half is down curly. She's kind of got that hairstyle going on in this, where it's half up, half down, but like to the side it's long, and to the I don't know. It's just, as you said, iconic. And then the red dress, it's satin, it's very simple and elegant and shiny, corset kind of top, but then the bustle in the back. I mean, it's just wow,
Perfect.
perfect. Even though she only wears it for 2 seconds before. No,
is that your favorite one?
probably my favorite one. But I mean, I love all of her costumes in this. It's just hard to, it's really hard to pick, because even some of the ones she doesn't wear for very long are beautiful.
I think my
Mhm.
favorite's the first one, the silvery, sparkly diamond one.
Okay.
What's yours?
Very.
I think the red dress just can't be topped. I fantasized about that dress when I was a kid. I was just, like, obsessed with it. But I do love the showgirl costumes. The pink is so pretty with the feathers. I
Mhm.
love it. But
So
yeah, later
pretty.
on too, there's some incredible costumes.
And headdresses. And I love too when she's in the Gothic tower for the El Tango de Roxanne scene, and she's wearing this velvet, and it's so dark in there. It looks like different colors in certain scenes and in certain pictures, but I think it's black velvet, but then there's a deep red burgundy sash part to it. But that's actually one of my favorites too.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's
Yes.
wearing the diamond necklace. Yeah. And then her makeup is pretty too. So she's got, you know what I'm saying? Like the purple eyeshadow, red lips. And this, I think the makeup helps Nicole Kidman just disappear into the character.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I wanted to talk about the makeup too, because I think it's just so good in this movie because it looks period correct on most people. And then also they look a little bit gritty and sweaty. So it just feels like very realistic, but it's still beautiful. I love it. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, definitely the makeup. Props to the hair and makeup team on this movie.
So good.
So good. Okay. And in the elephant scene, Kayla, so you kind of took us to the elephant scene where she's wearing the black lingerie. There's more of the mistaken identity situation going on. It's such a funny scene. You know, here's poor Christian, this young, innocent Christian, talking about a poetry reading. She's misreading this all over. It's like a euphemism poetry for making love. You've got a huge talent. Or maybe Toulouse says that, but it's so funny.
It's funny.
And she goes crazy, and yeah, everyone's just, yeah, he's just staring
And he
at her like,
starts singing, and she's just like in awe, like,
yeah, everything shuts down, and it's just like Christian, and then the lights turn on in the Paris skyline, which is such a cool thing how they incorporate the Parisian skyline with so many elements of this movie. So there's the part earlier in the can scenes where the guys throw their top hats and you see it. This part where the skyline lights up. Later on, there's a gun that gets thrown and tossed and it hits the Eiffel Tower. So they play with the Paris skyline a bit. And in the musical, they definitely have that on the stage out a window, which is pretty good that it, yeah. And so your song by Elton John, this had to be a resurgence in this song when this movie came out.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, Elton John, yeah.
It's such a good use of the song. And Ewan McGregor, the way that he sings it, like out of panic, but then he means it. It's so cool.
Yeah, especially the part, because the lyrics are so interesting and unique. If I was a sculptor, but then again, no, or a man, like, yeah, exactly. The way he talks through it as if it's just part of the dialogue, part of the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go dancing in the fog up on the roof. There's the Eiffel Tower, as we were just mentioning. And there was this last time I watched it, he's got the red umbrella and he kind of dances with it. That's a Gene Kelly Singing in the Rain nod, right? Maybe?
It does look similar. I don't know if it's meant to reference him, but yeah, it does look very similar to that.
Like the way he kind of twirls with it and then like leans off the Eiffel Tower. Like, I don't know. I was maybe because I just watched Singing in the Rain again and it's like in my head, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, I think definitely because she's kind of referencing the Marilyn Monroe era, like, right?
Diamonds are a girl's best
I feel
friend.
like he's definitely bringing some of that time frame into the movie.
Good. I love that. Yeah, I think so. We're going to say yes, that was a nod to Singing in the Rain. And then she's thinking, I'm so in love with the young, handsome, talented Duke. And he's like, huh? Hold now. I'm a writer. Oh man. Oh man. What do you think about the next song? The pitch song, Spectacular, Spectacular. We're talking about speed and chaos, I mean, that scene is quite crazy.
So goofy.
Yeah. I feel like I may have skipped through it a couple times when I watched it. Like,
oh, really?
just like you have to be in the mood for that scene, or it's gonna just be like so much.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I want to talk about the huge elephant room. Like,
so not the elephant in the room, the elephant room.
yeah. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I was like, I want to live in an elephant, and I still do. Like, that would be so fun.
That's so cute.
It looks
It's
so,
very cool.
yeah, it's so pretty on the outside, and the inside's all cozy and, pretty.
I remember I wanted a bright red, sparkly, like bedspread and pillows because that's what's in this scene. And I couldn't find it anywhere.
You ended up getting like, was it purple or something? I
Probably. I couldn't find bright red like this.
got like a silky bed cover.
Probably from this movie,
I
Kayla.
just got like a flashback when you said that.
But I couldn't find like the exact style. I just
I think you got purple.
I can't imagine why you wouldn't be able to find a big red sparkly bedspread.
it was hard, guys. And I was looking on probably like all the magazines from the time. What was it like? Not was Delia's? Did Delia's have houseware? Like all those
They didn't
for
have that.
no, not Delia's, but you know those magazines.
Yes.
Penny?
Maybe, of course, JC Penney. Yes, that big old book. Oh my god,
These were big for us back then.
I used to like, I was such a spoiled little brat back then, and I would make mom like order me stuff from Delia's. And I would like give her the code, and she'd be like, "Oh, fine." This is really, I should not be talking about this. It's really bad, but Delia, I was obsessed with Delia's.
I was too. I would just sit there and like dream of what it would be like to have stuff from there because we didn't have money. We were not ordering stuff from Delia's, but
Very
I
different.
don't think I did either, though. Kayla was able to finagle this.
I was I was spoiled very badly. Like it's not good for, like, I regret being spoiled. Okay, well, let's talk about the movie.
But also, do you remember the JC Penney, the JC Penney magazines, just like for Christmas, the big Christmas edition, and you'd kind of like circle the things.
Oh yeah, I remember we circled stuff and we would just never get it.
But it was fun to look at.
It's fun to dream. The girl can dream.
All right, this has been a fun podcast already. But okay, so they do the pitch, and the Duke is ready to allow them to use his money, I guess, to produce this show, and everyone's thinking they're going to put on the best show. This is like the bohemian show that they've dreamed of. There's a T-Rex song that comes in, Children of the Revolution, but it's sung by U2, Bono, and it's really cool. And then Satine is by herself, and she's singing her I'll Fly Away, One Day I'll Fly Away song. And she's back in the red dress, Kayla, right? She's back with the half up, half hair. This is her red dress moment because she goes up on the elephant singing, belting out her tune, and Christian climbs up the back of the elephant. He's ready to try to get back to where they were.
Fever dream.
And he's apologizing, and it's just sweet. And then they sing the Elephant Love medley.
Yeah, so this is probably one of my favorite songs of the whole movie, because I remember I would sing this in the shower as a kid. Like, I loved it.
It's so good. And we get all kinds of different songs. So there's well, All You Need Is Love. He kind of just says that at the beginning. That's Beatles. But then he does Paul McCartney and Wings, Silly Love Songs. Bowie, We Could Be Heroes. Dolly Parton, I Will Always Love You. Stephanie, did I miss any of those? What else does
there's a lot. So I read that there's 10 songs in the Elephant Love medley, which I would have thought it was more, but it's not.
Okay.
There's more in the Broadway version.
Yes, we're gonna talk about
that. Yeah, 10 songs, just so good.
So good.
That's one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. Is it just in the Broadway one?
With it, what?
What's Love got to do with it?
Oh, I think that's just in the Broadway one.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So yeah, so maybe let's just talk about the Broadway musical. So premiered in 2019, kind of in the midst of COVID, took home 10 Tony Awards, but it was a weird COVID Tony Awards ceremony where there weren't as many nominations, but I still think it would have won. So the Elephant, okay, if you're going to see the musical on Broadway and you're a fan of the show, know ahead of time it's going to be a little different. It's not exactly the movie. And I think one of the main changes is the Elephant Love medley, because sometimes, they add songs But adding songs is different than when you just change a beloved song. So they change up the Elephant Love Medley considerably. We have Aha's Take on Me, No Doubt, Don't Speak, Regina Spektor, Fidelity. Kayla's face is showing her confusion here. Natalie Imbruglia, Torn, The Postal Service, Such Great Heights. They do have some of the old songs, but they do change because Kayla, it's been so long since the movie premiered. It was 17 years from the musical to the show. 17 years from the movie to the musical, and they updated it for maybe different audience. I don't know.
That's why I'm not much of a Broadway fan, just because it's like they kind of like to keep up with the times a lot, and you know what I mean? It's just kind of more of a get everybody, I don't know. Maybe y'all are hating me right now for I feel bad.
No, it's fine.
I'm
Kayla's
just-
not the biggest musical fan. But then they do add some songs. So we have Katy Perry's Fireworks. Sia's, that's my least favorite addition to this. Also because they talk about the 4th of July, but guys, you're in Paris. You should be singing about Bastille Day, if anything. Sia's Chandelier, that one works really well. And then my favorite of the musical, it's a mashup of Crazy by Gnarls Barkley and Adele's Rolling in the Deep. And that one is actually really good.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of what I've listened to of the musical. I've got to be honest. I'm kind of with Kayla on this one. I like the older songs for sure. But it is, I mean, of course, everyone involved in the musical is very, very talented. And I think it was very wise to bring it to the Broadway stage,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, it does well on the stage. And they do still have your song, Come What May, El Tango de Roxanne. I mean, they still keep most of it, but changing the Elephant Love medley, is that what they should have done? I don't know.
I'm
I
sure
wonder if they could get the rights to some of those songs or something. Like, I wonder if that came into play or if they were just like, no, we're going to rewrite.
probably trying to get a younger audience into the scene, you know, hook them in.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
The Broadway show also was choreographed by Sonia Taye, incredible choreographer. Sorry if you were going to mention this, but I also ran into her in Brooklyn when I was there for your wedding, Carly. And this was when it was on Broadway for the first time, I think, or when it was in development, maybe. But
He was on So
yeah,
You Think You Dance, right?
she was.
I recognize that voice. That is so cool, Stephanie. You should just go ahead and tell us all. I want to know all who you've ran into since Carly's wedding. Like how many people? Like
Honestly, it's probably not impressive anymore.
no, I love hearing about your background. You have such a cool background, I think. And should we tell everybody about the Strokes? No.
That time we met the Strokes.
You got the Strokes because of Stephanie.
Because of my sixth sense.
Yes, you had Spidey sense. You were just kind of like, they're here.
The Driscoll Hotel in downtown Dallas.
Yes.
It happened for us there.
Downtown Austin.
Oh, downtown Austin. What am I saying? I used to live in Austin and now I live in Dallas, so I'm confused. But yes.
Yeah, you've lived everywhere. You've been in movies. You've saved animals. Like so cool.
Okay, so the Duke, played by Richard Roxburgh, if I'm saying his name correctly. Am I? Do you think?
I think so. I'm not sure.
He's so gross.
He's so good at being gross, but he's not gross.
Yeah.
What is he in
It's
other
true.
stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He plays Elvis's dad in Elvis.
Oh.
And in Yourself too.
Yeah. But no, you're so right. He's good at playing gross, and he's there with his manservant Warner. And that to me, last time I watched it, I was thinking Cal from Titanic and his like manservant guy. I don't know, same kind of vibe. You know, thinking you don't need love, you just need to have enough money to get the woman.
Always comes back to Billy Zane with you guys.
Wait, what?
I said it always comes back to Billy Zane with you guys.
It really does. Oh my goodness. Also, the Like a Virgin song sung by Jim Broadbent and Richard Roxburgh, that's another scene where if I'm just not feeling it and I'm really just wanting to focus on Christian and Satine in Moulin Rouge, I will admit to fast forwarding through that scene. What do you guys
That's
think? Like a
I think
virgin.
fair. Yeah. I mean, I think it's very fun as a villain moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
very funny and silly and just creative. I
Yeah.
like it. But I agree. If you're just there for the love story, then you can skip it.
I mean, yeah, I feel like that's the main problem with most musicals and film is like, because I feel like musicals are not my favorite genre because of that. It's kind of sometimes it's just like too much and it interrupts the whole flow of the story. So I feel like the less the better musical numbers in a musical film, you know? I mean, I feel like this is a good example of how like maybe
Mm-hmm.
they didn't need a couple of them, you know?
Or they need them, but when you've seen it a bajillion times, you could just fast forward if you want.
Oh, well,
That's
that's
no, that's just me. No, I think all of these are great points. And this one, I don't know, it's not one that I enjoy every time, but I do like the use of Madonna's song. It's kind of fun. As you said, Seth, a good villain moment. But right after that, we get Come What May, which is the most beautiful song and sung by Christian and Satine. And that they incorporate very well into the scene where you see them singing to each other. Then it shows them practicing their lines for the show. And then it cuts to them actually rehearsing the show with the cast and crew of the show. The Duke is watching, and I would say, our true villain, Nini,
Mhm.
comes and whispers into the Duke's ear that something's going on between Christian and Satine. And that whole moment when he shouts, because she doesn't love you. Oh my gosh. Talk about like, oh, this is bad. Oh no. What's going to happen? That whole scene.
come on, women
What?
gotta support women. Like, come on, that's messed up.
Yeah, what inspired her to do that? Like, what were her intentions?
She was jealous, right?
Yeah. And I think they play on this in the musical a little bit. Nini's played by an incredible dancer, was when I was there, when I watched it, Robin Herder.
Mhm.
And um, I think, yeah, jealousy, wanting to be the number one showgirl. I feel like they also, in the musical on Broadway, she's the best dancer. Maybe Satine's the best performer, but she's the best dancer. And in this
Mhm.
one too, she goes on to do El Tango de Roxanne, and she's like an amazing dancer. So yeah, I think jealousy. I want to say in the movie I was talking about earlier, the old movie in the book, Camille, um, there is another courtesan prostitute character who kind of gives the game away. So there may be some basis from that too. I'll have to
Okay,
revisit it. Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just always wondered, I'm like, is it just jealousy or is there something else that I just missed? But
No, no, I don't think you missed anything. They I almost wish there were more scenes with her because I think she's so phenomenal in this movie.
yes, I agree. She has such a powerful presence.
Wow. Yeah. Like you can't take your eyes off her in the big scenes at the beginning. Like you focus on her. So Caroline O'Connor is the actress name we're talking about, actress and dancer. And yeah, come what may though. I mean, that's so beautiful. I love Satine's headdress in that because she's about to, they're rehearsing. This is like a dress rehearsal, maybe. And so sometimes you wear parts of your costume.
Mhm.
So she's got the headdress on and she has to turn on the charm. She has to really act. And this is where you see Nicole Kidman being great acting as an actress, um, telling the Duke, don't listen to this. We're going to go have dinner. I'm all yours tonight. And then we get, I think this is my favorite song of the whole musical is El Tango de Roxanne, the whole tango scene and Christian Ewan McGregor singing.
Yes, it's just the best. I mean, it's incredible. I don't even know how to describe it, but it makes all of us feel everything in the scene.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't lose its power. either. Like
Yeah.
to this day, it gives me goosebumps no matter
Yeah.
what version I hear.
I know. And like the way when you're talking about it, I'm like getting goosebumps talking about it. Um and the dance sequence too, the whole
Yes.
yeah, the tango dance.
Cool.
Yes. Um and also in the show, the other character that Nini is dancing with, he's more in the storyline too, as they were lovers they kind of have a lover spat. So in
In
the
the
movie,
Broadway
and so in the movie, you can kind of guess that, but it's not as explicit that the two of them may have been lovers, and their their real life passion is kind of coming through the song. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Very cool. I
yeah.
feel like this is a good time to mention we can't do this podcast without mentioning Tessa Virtue and Scott Moyer, the figure
Oh my
skaters.
gosh, I forgot about that. Did they do this one?
Moulin Rouge, it was a
The
huge.
whole thing, like a mashup, right?
Yes, it was El Tango de Roxanne and Come What May together,
Oh,
and these are the most decorated figure skaters of all time. Carly and I have loved them for many years. Kayla, I don't know if you
Wait,
were into figure skating.
oh, I
you
love.
know this.
Wait, who are they? I've got to picture it.
The Canadians.
Yeah, Tessa Virtue and Scott Moyer. They came back to do one final season, go to the Olympics. I followed them the whole season, so I got to watch them like develop this Moulin Rouge routine, and then they did it at the Olympics, and it was perfection. I
Uh,
mean, to this day, I think one of the best pieces of art, performance, anything that I've ever seen. And also, people are still obsessed with it. I see it on TikTok all the time, and it makes me really happy. But it just goes to show how this story and this movie lives on, and especially the music,
Mhm.
which is important for a musical. You know, I don't remember any songs from La La Land, to be honest, but
no.
Shots fired.
Wait,
but
you
yeah.
remember? Sorry,
City of stars.
I like Ryan Gosling
Oh.
singing that. He's just so cute when he sings.
Oh man, the battle of the musicals right here. No, just kidding.
No, I
But
really don't care that much about La La Land.
okay,
I just, I don't
it's
know.
an example.
I
You're
feel
using
like
it as an example.
it's one of the more recent ones that I actually really liked. So
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, Stephanie, I need to revisit this because I guess it's kind of like, I mean, I think at the time I can't believe I forgot this. I need to revisit
Please
this.
go and watch it. It will give you all kinds of goosebumps. It might make you cry. Definitely made me cry when they did it at the Olympics, but it's the last time they ever did
Mm-hmm.
anything in competition,
that's
and
so.
it's perfection, and they mirror the movie so well. Like the final position is just like the end of the movie. It's crazy. It's just so good.
I'm gonna go watch
So
it. I'm
I
definitely
know.
gonna watch it.
And then shortly after El Tango de Roxanne, we do have the moment where Satine realizes maybe this doesn't really matter and I should just run off with Christian. But Ziedler catches her, starts singing The Show Must Go On, which is a Queen song, and tells her that she's dying.
yes, the good old TB consumption. Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah. So that whole throughout the movie, you get sort of premonitions of her dying. They're not, and at the very beginning, we already know she's dying because Christian mentioned it. So you know it's going to happen. But the scenes where she's coughing up blood, of course, are just so awful. And when she learns the truth, which they were concealing from her, that she's going to die, it's very sad.
So sad.
So
Yeah,
sad.
I mean, I remember thinking, watching it again recently, how this poor girl, she's probably just exhausted, like she's being used to do all these things and she barely has a moment to just chill. And that's probably contributed to her getting sick.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And this is in the movie and book that I mentioned, Camille. So she does have consumption in that. Oh, and this is a semi-autobiographical book, by the way.
Oh, wow. That's
So
terrible.
based on a true story, Moulin Rouge. Um, yeah, so Alexander Dumas, père, the father, wrote The Three Musketeers and The Count of Monte Cristo. His son, Alexander Dumas fils, wrote this book, and it is based off a real love story. He was 23 and he fell in love with a courtesan. And I mean, of course, they're probably, it's not 100% true, but yeah, this woman died of consumption. However, there are scholars who believe that it might have been a euphemism for a different disease, because she was a prostitute. But apparently he would visit her grave all the time after
That's
she
so
died.
sad.
I know. So yeah, you could read, I'm sure people can read more about that online, but the whole consumption thing, whether or not it really was tuberculosis or whatever, it's very sad.
You want to know something really sad is that when I was watching this and watching her sing in his face, I was like, yeah, there's no way he wouldn't also have TB. I used to work in tuberculosis surveillance for the government, so I know way too much about tuberculosis. And so it's one of those situations where you're like, oh, this couldn't happen.
Yeah.
But
Yikes.
that's
You said
crazy.
the government. Do we need to strike this from the record?
I don't work for it anymore, so no.
You have such the coolest background. Like it's so cool all the things you've done. Like
I have a crazy
we
resume.
just need to have a Stephanie podcast where we just talk about
Stephanie
her life.
And the cranes.
I would love to talk about the
The
cranes, yes.
Strokes.
And the what? And the Strokes. The cranes and the Strokes. There's Stephanie right there.
Sums
In
me
a
up.
nutshell. But The Show Must Go On. It is a beautiful musical number. This is one I also really like. I love how the seamstresses are singing with Seidler, The Show Must Go On. And she takes the stage. She's wearing this beautiful dark gray woolen, maybe, outfit, like a suit, a dress suit with some black. And then the black hat and the veil, and her eyes behind the veil are just red and watery because she's been crying, but she manages to convince Christian that she doesn't love him. She's going with the Duke. She chose the Duke or the Maharaja. And he's distraught. He's just like screaming, drinking. Toulouse tries to comfort him. Also, so cool that they used Toulouse-Lautrec, the real artist, as a, historical person in the context of this movie, I think.
Like Ever After.
Like Ever After. Oh, he's the fairy godfather.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Well done, Steph. And yeah, and then there's another, okay, back to the old movies. There's an old movie called Moulin Rouge about Toulouse-Lautrec and his life as an artist living amongst the prostitutes of Montmartre. It's also a book, and the movie stars Jose Ferrer. And it's very sad, but very good.
That's cool. I'll have to check it out. I've heard of it.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Never heard of it.
And there's one more old movie, so I might as well just throw it in at this part. French Can-Can, 1955, directed by Jean Renoir, the son of the Impressionist painter Renoir. Yes. And this movie is also a huge inspiration for the film, whether it was explicit or not. I mean, it just is. The song Complaint de la Butte. And it's a beautiful movie. It also has the sort of Ziedler character putting on a show. And then there's the young dancer. It's another good movie to watch. So, okay. So your homework, listeners, if you want to watch some old classic movies, Camille, 1936. And then Can-Can, French Can-Can, 1955. And Moulin Rouge, 1952.
Love it.
Okay. Let's wrap up the story, though. This is the end. We reached the end of the movie. The show must go on. We're going to see the big production that they spent so much time rehearsing for and writing and preparing for. And we get Satine in a really cool show-stopping number. Hindi Sad Diamonds is what they call it. It's beautiful song, really probably underrated song on the soundtrack. And it incorporates diamonds are a girl's best friend, but it's slowed down. It's got some really cool music elements. And then she's wearing a very beautiful costume again and headdress.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot's going on behind the scenes where we have Christian trying to do one final meetup with Satine to throw money at her feet and kind of say, okay, well, if it really wasn't love, here's your money. It's a very powerful moment. And, yeah, and sad and
It's just
scary all at
sad.
once.
I feel so bad for Satine at this point because she was told she's going to die. And it's like, wow, you've been making me do all this. I could have been like chilling, living my last days. But no, you wanted money. Like,
Mm-hmm.
my gosh. Ugh.
She finally found love too.
Yeah.
And yeah, has to throw it away or feels like she has to.
Yeah, she's very manipulated into this. And it's almost like Ziedler wants to just still get her on the stage so that even if she dies, he gets the investment and the. I know it's true. I mean, Ziedler's an awesome character, but at the same time, he's kind of a villain too, I guess. Even if he does punch someone at the end, huh?
He's an anti-hero.
Yeah, maybe. But no, you're right.
Just like zoned out for a
I'm
minute.
sorry. Um, yeah, no, and I almost don't like Christian in this moment either because he is kind of just
He
making
doesn't
things.
know that she's gonna die yet,
No,
right?
he does. Right, he does not
So
know.
he doesn't know what all she's going through internally, you know.
Okay, good defense of Christian. I'm with you now. Um, and he gets accidentally ends up on stage, right? And he does his little speech, throws money at her feet, walks off. But then sweet Toulouse is shouting from up in the rafters, the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. And that snaps everyone back into focus here. So Satine's like, okay, I don't care anymore. She sings the Come What May reprise. And Christian, this is probably the best Christian singing moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? What do you think?
The acting is just so good, especially in the last part of this movie where there's so much torment and where they just don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, but they are dealing with so much.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many
They're all like on
feelings.
different pages, kind of. Yeah.
Mm. They're all on different pages, but finally they've come to the same page. They flip the same page. They're on the same page now, and he walks up the theater, walks back up to the stage singing. And I sometimes have to talk about me just fast forwarding through some songs. I sometimes rewind and listen to this part again where he's singing again. And it's just the most beautiful ending, at least for now. Um, the big show-stopping finale. Ziedler punches the Duke, so you get a little bit of a okay, maybe Ziedler's learned his lesson, and I don't
I
know.
think
Maybe he does care about her.
he's finally just taking pity on her after all this she's been going through. Like,
Yeah, yeah, and we get our bohemian ending. I love how they're just singing in chorus freedom, beauty, truth, and love at the end. But then the curtain falls, and that's when we get our real ending, and it's not so happy. She she dies.
I know. Oh, it's so sad. Like they're finally together, and then that's all they had together was that last moment.
But then he tells her story, and that's supposed to be the redeeming moment. He does tell their story, and it lives on. I have to say, when he's holding Satine and crying, I recently watched Star Wars Episode 1 in theaters, The Phantom Menace, and he's holding Qui-Gon Jinn in the same way and sobbing. And I could not help but think about Moulin Rouge at that moment. But
Yeah, that's funny because I was seeing that recently, the ending scene when he's holding her like that, and like the petals were behind them, and it reminded me of that painting by Gustav Klimt, The Kiss, and they're kind
yeah,
of in the same pose, and that was kind of the same time frame when he was around, I think. So
that's a good
I don't
one.
know, I just visually it kind of reminded me of that.
I love that.
The better
Definitely,
Star Wars one? No.
it's kind of a nicer memory than Star Wars. But I do have to just do one more little Star Wars thing. So Obi-Wan's love is Satine. In the Clone Wars, Kayla, in the Clone Wars animated series, there's a character Satine, and Obi-Wan loves Satine, and Obi-Wan is Ewan McGregor. It's like I know they did that on purpose.
That's weird.
I know they wrote the name Satine on purpose because of this. That's my
Wow.
theory.
Obi-Wan
Thanks.
is the teen.
Obi-Wan and Satine, and then Christian and Satine, both played by Ewan McGregor.
Isn't Satine Bo-Katan's sister?
Yes. And that's the other thing. Satine is such a beautiful name. And then Bo-Katan. I love her, but I'm just saying the name.
Charlie's first child named Satine.
Oh, it's a cool name.
Yeah. Or Leia. No, I'm just kidding. That's the end. But but it's not really the end, because if you watch the end credits, which I highly recommend doing because the music is great, at the very end, it says, have you done this? Have you watched the end?
I have,
Stephanie
but I
knows.
don't remember.
At the very end, it says, this story is about freedom, beauty, truth, but above all, love. And I don't know. I have to watch it to the end credits, and see that message. And I love they have little symbols, like a little dancing girl and a little elephant. And I just think it's so cute.
Oh,
Oh,
I'll have to go back and watch that. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
It's cute.
the details. Baz Luhrmann, he's all about making it a movie, a whole experience. And I love that.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I just think all the elements are there for this film: the choreography, the makeup, the hair, the costumes, the music, and also, I mean, the soundtrack, which features songs that weren't necessarily in the movie or maybe were just very much in the background. But that soundtrack had heavy rotation in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I love it.
Yeah. I have a
Yes.
question for y'all. So, if someone got the crazy idea to like remake this movie, Carly's shaking her head, who would play Satine and Christian?
I
Have you thought
prepared
of
for this
this? You
question.
prefer? Oh, you go, Steph.
I have too many suggestions for all of the characters, honestly.
Oh,
And
cool.
I thought about this a lot because I love doing these castings, but I didn't think of any characters together. I didn't do any chemistry reads in my head. So I'm just giving you Satine just by herself.
Yeah, we don't normally do chemistry reads either.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, there's a few different people. If we were going to make Satine a little bit older, which I think would work great, Hannah Waddingham would be amazing.
Oh yeah. She's excellent. Love her.
She's a great singer,
Oh yeah.
statuesque, beautiful, such a great performer.
Agreed.
I also thought Ariana DeBose, of course, although I think she would be a really cool Nini.
Oh yeah.
I think of her as a dancer. I know she can do everything,
No,
but
I'm with you. I mean, best supporting actress there, like kind of the side best dancer, best, yeah. Mhm.
yeah, she's just incredible. And Jasmine Cephas Jones, who you may know from Hamilton, she would be incredible. She's so beautiful, has an incredible voice, great performer. I would love to see her in a role like this.
Awesome. Oh, very nice. Did you have any Christians?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Well, did you have any Satines, Carly?
No, I'll say something after.
Okay, okay.
You go with Christian. You go with Christian.
So the first person I thought of for Christian, and I think you'll like this, was Nyron Barnard. I love him so much. And he's a great, great singer because he's performed on um not Broadway, but like the West End, I think. He was in Spring Awakening. He used to be a singer back in the day. There's a great movie called Hunky Dory that he was in that has a bunch of great songs, some David Bowie songs.
Okay, so Stephanie, yeah, then I'm already signed off on that one. That's perfect because
He has the perfect look too,
looks
I
the
think.
part. Yeah.
Just perfect. But there's some others who I think would be great as well, which Harry Styles, this might be controversial, but Harry Styles I think would be really, really good. And also Mike Feist. I love Mike
Oh,
Feist.
yeah. Yeah.
And he's also a triple threat. So
There you go. Love it. So here's my little thing. I don't want them to ever remake this movie,
no.
but what I want to happen, Baz Luhrmann, if you're listening, can you make a prequel about how Satine got to where she was today? So how did she get to be the sparkling diamond? And earlier in the movie, she says, all my life, you made me believe I was only worth what someone would pay for me. So that all my life sentence makes me think, how long has she known Ziedler? Like, was she a child when they met? Did he groom her to be like this or whatnot? So I think it would be a very dark movie, but I think Baz Luhrmann could make a really amazing movie getting up to this point to where she is ready for love. And for that, I have someone, I don't know how old they are, so I don't know if that'll work, but Emily Beecham. I don't know if she sings, I don't know if she dances, but in the BBC miniseries, The Pursuit of Love, there are parts of her where she's acting and like sometimes says things, or she even like squeals at one point, and it's very Nicole Kidman Satine to me. So, and she looks good with red hair. So I don't know. That's my thing. A prequel. I want a prequel.
No, I think that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
But at the same time, I do like your recommendation, Stephanie, especially Anur Barnard.
Yeah.
Did I say it right?
Yeah.
That's like perfect.
No, I agree. Don't ever remake it, but we have the Broadway show.
We do.
So that can live on and continue to have different castings. So there you go.
Different castings. Yeah, because I like your Ariana DeBose too.
Ooh,
And they're probably going to update the Elephant Love medley. And if I can see them updating that for years to come for newer audiences too.
I thought of a Satine actress,
Ooh.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
I knew you were going to say that.
And who do you want for Christian, Kayla?
I mean, Jacob Elordi could do that. Be easy for him.
Okay.
What about Austin Butler?
Stephanie, do you know if he can sing?
Jacob Elordi?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think he can, but it wouldn't
He's
surprise me.
Australian.
He's Australian, that's true. He's very artistic too. Like I just know he's like an artist through and through, so he probably can.
But yeah, what about Austin Butler? Since Baz Luhrmann worked with him in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he can. I don't think he has it in him.
Shut up, Kayla. Stop it. We're not. No.
I think he still is working on getting rid of that Elvis accent.
No.
He did it.
He worked really hard for that. So
Kayla's so mean.
I love Austin Butler, just for the record.
For the record, same.
we want to get all different perspectives on this podcast. So
Yes, true.
I think Emily Beecham is so cute, and I want to see more of her. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know the name, but I need to look her up.
So the movie with Anur, I don't know how to say the name. The 1887, that girl.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I
know her.
ooh, I thought of another Satine. This might be out of left field. What about Zendaya?
Actually,
Yeah.
she knows how to swing on the trapeze.
I'm seeing her with red hair, like a picture of her, and it's kind of like, on the side. Like she looks very elegant. I think she could do it.
No, I think so
I
too.
love Zendaya.
Mm-hmm. No, she could. In The Greatest Showman, she's in that movie. It's kind of like very cool. Thank you all for joining us on this spectacular journey covering Baz Luhrmann's 2001 musical movie, romantic extravaganza of a movie, Moulin Rouge. We're so excited to cover this one in our season 2 of Swoon-Worthy, the podcast, and even more excited to bring on our friend and fellow movie lover, Stephanie, into this conversation. And thank you so much, Stephanie, for all of your insights and all of your Easter eggs and connections. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. This is so fun. I love you guys and I love movies.
Thank you. We love you too. And please tune in to all of our episodes on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Share them with your friends. We love the support out there. Please like and subscribe to us on Instagram at Swoon-Worthy Podcast. And make sure and leave us a review if you like what you're hearing. That's always helpful to us. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.